Hello, can you hear me? Can you hear my microphone? Cool, right. Just give it a sec. Excellent. Right. So Matt, is there anything you want me to take a look at in terms of currency pairs, indices, commodities, anything like that? Okay, no problem. So I'm going to break down a few of these pairs, but I'm going to give it a few minutes just to let people connect because it's only just 8 o'clock. I'm going to break down. Obviously, dollar is a big one. Uh, Euro, dollar, basically everything on there. There's a few pairs that I'm not going to touch because I don't think there's anything that looks too appealing um, for the coming week or so. So it'll just be ones that are actually quite relevant, and there might be positions that I'll be looking at from that list there. Okay, yo, Daniel. Daniel, is there anything you want me to look at in particular that isn't on my list at the minute? Because obviously I don't want to be breaking down things that isn't of any value to anyone. Okay, excellent. I'm going to start now. There's a few more people that probably will join quite soon, but I'm sure they'll be able to tell from the technicals anyway. So DXY, this is the 6 monthly, so half yearly. Um, Pretty much a near engulfing candle there. So I mean, it kind of tells you all you need to know about where dollar's going next. I think 3 monthly, same story. We've got this huge downward quarter. Um, Again, doesn't look great for dollar strength at the minute. Monthly is probably a similar story. Yeah, so we've got really just looking at these few recent months, we've got some moves to the downside that don't look too good for longs, to be honest. We might get some resistance around if we go on the daily. I'm predicting 0.94 area, just because it looks like quite a choppy area. So anywhere around here, I'd be probably expecting some sort of reaction if we don't get something now. I mean, this is quite a key level for dollar. It has reacted to this level quite a few times. So, I mean, there is potential for a turnaround. I just expect probably the downside to be more favored here. Yeah, it doesn't look too great on either of those. I mean, look at that weekly candle. There's not much more that needs to be said really on DXY, other than the fact that I would say shorts are preferred in this case. US dollar is just an additional way to check. It looks quite similar to DXY. If you're not using this, it is just US dollar on trading view. So if we just take a fib, it's from here to here, you can see that it's reacted to the Wallace zone here. So we've got sort of potential for a turnaround. DXY was also at the 61.8%. If we draw this on here, and it's sort of not even had an effect on it really. So I don't know. I still think downside's preferred, even though it is. I mean, it could go to that 78.6 and reject, but that would be 93. So EU, similar story, because it's pretty much exactly the opposite of DXY. Sorry. So we had that level there that we could have seen price stop at, but it just plows straight through it. We've got these are levels that we could see price getting stopped at. So potentially could see a turnaround there. And if we go on the weekly, we can see that it's in a range. So downsides to me are the preferred outcome. Personally, I prefer it to go to this top level, but I don't think that it will, looking at recent price action. I think that probably going to see a turnaround from here. Obviously, then we've got the whole range to move. But yeah, so obviously they've got this head and shoulders that have played out and looks to be at the end of the movement as well, which does work perfectly with the fact that we're at the top of the range. So I'm not going to look at Aussie dollar. I don't think there's anything really here that looks too good. There's an ascending triangle almost developing here. Oh, wrong one. Line. So I'd be looking at another test on that line there, that trend line, to confirm this triangle formation. If we get that, some nice moves could play out, but at the minute it doesn't look too appealing to me. If you look on a weekly, it's just sort of consolidating really to me. If we got like it's not moved anywhere since 2016, so it doesn't look great for any sort of position to me. Obviously there are smaller ones in there, but looking at the long term, I wouldn't be interested in anything in this pair. This pair's got to offer unless we see another touch of this trend line, and price action could determine a good long there, to be fair. If we see dojis or deceleration essentially at that trend line, we could be entering positions for the long term to the top of the range or wherever. It's just too early at this stage to tell. So someone I was mentoring actually pointed this out to me, because I don't normally trade in New Zealand, not Kiwi, sorry, and it's this triangle here, and it looks very good. This would obviously go against our analysis on DXY to an extent, because I'm predicting dollar weakness at least to the 93 level. So a short obviously goes against that, because we're expecting dollar strength if we're trading this pair. But So what we could expect is move down to here, which I think is the 50%. No, it's gone too far up now. Okay. So short all the way to there doesn't look too appealing anymore. But regardless, you could short it to the 50% or 61.8 and just close out half your position when it gets to there. So when market opens, I will probably be entering a position here just because of the deceleration. If we're on the weekly, there's a like clear test there. So we've got two candles that show sort of an indecision in where the price wants to go. With these things, even though it's going against the confluence of DXY, it's all part of your edge. So if you see a formation like this and don't enter and it goes down, you'll be kicking yourself, purely because price has been telling you for so long and it's been waiting for you, and you've not jumped on. So stops above the highs there, and we'd be looking at initial position closing out there, probably close half of the position there, and then just leaving the other half to run. And if it gets stopped out, it gets stopped out. You'll have secured some nice profits with that first move. So this would just be a play to the bottom trend line, which I think personally is more logical, but can't ignore fib levels, or essentially that is a key level as well. If we draw a horizontal line there on the 61.8, we do get some reactions to that level there. Some in that zone, there is quite a few bounces and touches. So I think downside for this pair is probably the preferred outcome over the next week. This price action just looks too good to not enter a position, to be honest. So dollar Swiss franc, I don't tend to trade this. It doesn't look too good to me at the minute. If I just go on the monthly quickly. So we've sort of got this consolidating upwards consolidation here. So I don't even, it's just so messy. So we kind of have a break of that. Could be expecting a retest of that level. Looks all right. That's top line's sort of irrelevant at this point. Yeah, so we could be expecting we've got the break, retest, continuation. If we draw a fib level on there, it's probably one of the ones that we trade from. So yeah, so 50%, if it goes to there, we're looking at a very nice trade, but the likelihood of that lining up is probably quite low. I think that it'll just retest and we'll see the movement to the downside, which is fine without that fib level, to be fair, if we get a reaction from there. So I'm not interested in shorting until it gets back up to that level, because if I enter now, I'm selling in the middle of nowhere and not really going to get far from that. So we'll go straight to dollar yen. So pair that I keep my eye on quite often. Just get rid of that. Oops, sorry. If we go on the monthly, we've got this cup and handle playing out. It's not the best formation, personally. We've got a break retest as well of a trend line from right the way back up here. So I've got this big break retest. Again, this is clearly played out from there. On the weekly, you can see even clearer. Got a nice move. But on the daily, I think we get a clearer picture of what's going to happen next. It looks to me like we've got similar sort of price level, and we're going to just see a move to the downside. I don't think it's going to make a new high. I think we're going to see at least a 50% retracement, 61.8 potentially, before we get a new up move. So we could be seeing something like that. Technically got a higher high, so a higher low, sorry. Got those two there. So we have actually got a nice foundation there. We just need to see what price is going to do next. we've got this trend line here, which price didn't tend to pay much attention. It seemed to pay much attention to it, but it didn't really close that far above it, so we could see a move back down. But I don't know how much weight that'll hold. It's not a great trend line unless it rejects this. Then it could be quite a weighted one. If we just chuck on some EMAs on there, so yeah, 50% could possibly be quite a good target on this pair. We've got 200 moving average giving us a nice directional bias. Prices above it. Not paying much attention to these crosses in EMAs at the minute. Personally think that it's too late once you've seen them, so we'll just not pay attention to that a minute. But on the bearish standpoint, we've got 3 lower highs, so could see a triangle form. We could see price consolidate slightly before moving back to the upside. I do think upside is preferred, but that depends very highly on dollar. So I think we'll see a down move personally next week to that 50%. Might see dollar get to 94 and bounce back up. Yeah, that's my preferred outcome anyway. A down move to one of these fib levels before we buy again. Yeah. So with this pair, my conclusion would be not to do anything yet. Sit on your hands, wait for a move to the downside, 50%, 61.8, or potentially this trend line here. It does look to me like price has respected it slightly, so we could see this become another level that we get price reacting to. So if recent price is an indication to go by, though, we won't see it hit that trend line at one of these fib levels, but could see some nice wicking that give us an opportunity to enter into a position. So yeah, dollar yen, I'm going to wait, see what happens. If it drops to 50%, I'm buying. If it shoots up now, potentially watch for a retest of this. Just have a quick look on the hourly. So we've got the break, potentially could retest it and go back up. See, our price has consolidated there, so there could be some weight to that trend line. Yeah, definitely wise. Euro yen, huge up move. I know that someone in the chat at the minute long this, but didn't hold it long enough. You should have. So yeah, essentially, we've seen this structure retest, and we've got that trend line there. So this was quite a good position here, this long. Personally, I think we're going to see a down move similar to UJ. Same. Usually, when one of the yen pairs moves down, we see a similar move with the rest of it. So we have got some relevance here. We've got this level that is tested. It's also pretty much the 130 level. Oh, it's not right. That's better. Yeah, so price has reacted to psychological level 130. Yeah, downside's probably preferred outcome from this. Again, weekly. Not too much to gather from here, just the fact that this is probably like a huge engulfing bar. There's nothing for it to engulf, but it is a very, very big up move. Same with a monthly. We've got big moves up. Quarterly, same. Half yearly. Very good candles. That being said, I do think the down move from this point is preferred, at least in the short term. Potentially see a 50% fib level, 61.8. That would line up perfectly with a structure retest. But again, the stars don't always align. But yeah, I wouldn't be looking at anything here unless we get a down move. GJ pound yen looks a lot more appealing to me for a short. So we've got we've got this fib level 61.8. Price has reacted to it in the past. We know it's a very good fib level because we've got 1, 2. Is there a TL on the monthly on EGA? Let me have a look. Potentially here. That don't mean anything. Nothing. There's this sharp downward one, but personally, I don't think that trend lines are kind of relevant other than this one in a minute. No. Back to GJ anyway. So we've got 61.8 fib, golden ratio. So if I just draw a horizontal line there just for the time being, so we've got this one here and here. So we've got a zone there that price has reacted to in the past. So we've got the 61.8, we've got this here just before Brexit. Get rid of that. And we've got this trend line here. So ascending triangle looks very, very good. Preferred outcome, obviously, down move, back here, and then back down, because if we get that back on, then we've got the 61.8 and down. A move to the downside is preferred from this sort of formation. So we've got a big down move, consolidation, price retesting, not making any ground, and we see a break to the downside. However, that being said, we could trade both outcomes. So if there's a downside move, we've got the break retest, or if you want to be aggressive about it, which I probably will be on this pair, if we get price decelerating around this area here. So if I just draw a box on there, if we get price decelerating there, giving us nice price action, I've got no chance of grabbing that with all that stuff there. I will be shorting it right there. I won't be waiting for the break retest and just monitoring it quite closely. If we get a break to the downside and then we see a break retest, I'll add to my position. I think that in that situation, it would pay to be quite aggressive in your taking of that. But right now, I think that you could potentially short it to the bottom of this range. But to be mindful of the 50% fib level, because obviously if we're shorting here, stops above the zone, so quite a big stop, but quite a nice move. So it's like a 1 to 2 risk reward ratio, really. 50% is probably about there, just looking at that. Yeah, it's about right. So yeah, so we've got a potential move to the downside there, 50%, and then shoot back up. Consolidation, deceleration, anything that tests this level here would lead to a well, inverse hammer, I suppose. Yeah, so anything there that sort of resembles deceleration to me would be a sign to enter. Stops above the bottom of the top of the range, depending on where the where we end up with the thing. If with where price ends up, sorry, if we end up with price sort of in between the zone, it'll be a really good position, I think. But yeah, downside is preferred. I do think we'll see some consolidation for the next few weeks, depending on how Brexit negotiations go. I think that we're waiting for some news, and that's why on a lot of the pound pairs, we just see this sort of, for the past few days, we've just had consolidation. Weekly, it's just doji, isn't it? So it's, and there's a balance at the minute, so we're not seeing any sort of uh, downside from here would be for third, but I think that we're going to be waiting for some sort of news release from the Brexit negotiations. So if we go on EG, we've got this nice range forming. So we've got zones here and here. So monthly, quickly. Yeah, so it doesn't look too significant, the zone on the monthly, but we do have this consolidation and these reactions to this zone prior, back in a long time ago, but still relevant. So we've got quite, I think the quarterly and the 6 monthly are going to be kind of irrelevant at this point, because it's too big of a time frame to actually see what's going on within this zone. So we've got some nice deceleration, at the top of this range, on a bigger time frame. So yeah, we've got some weekly candles. Did get a pretty bullish couple of days though toward the end of the week. I think there was a news release. Don't know. Don't pay too much attention to it. Just know that when there's key news releases, I usually close my positions out, to be honest, like non-farm payroll. But depending on what happens with the fundamentals news releases, downside would be preferred from this. We've got a nice fib level from the top of here, 61.8, I think. Oh, it's in the zone at the minute. Yeah, so it looks pretty good for a short. We've got the zones. Downside is third, but we could see a break of this level, a retest of structure, and then a move to the upside. That is completely possible. Could see either of those two outcomes. So we're just waiting for triggers at the minute. If we see deceleration for a couple of days, could be a signal to the downside. We'd have to wait and see. Gold. So predicted this move down from the double top. Got quite an early entry. Didn't hold it long enough, even though I told myself it was going to 12. The reason it's sort of backing off a little bit is this fib level. So yeah, so 50%. It's rejected it. Don't know. I would expect another test of that, because it's not really rejected it too strongly. But I do think if we don't see price turn around here, then we've got more potential down move. Got this potentially come in. Triangle. Again, another test of this would show us how strongly weighted this trend line is. This one is very strong. It goes way back, even further than that, and it's very, very valid. We've got reactions all the way back to, I think, 2002. No, 2011, a bit far. But yeah, so to me, that trend line at the top is very weighted. Just have to see how strongly weighted this bottom one is. Chuck a couple of EMAs on here. 200 moving average. So price is below it on the daily. Weekly below it. Monthly will be the same. No, it's not. It's above. Okay, so yeah, I think we'll see a test of this. Probably some deceleration for the coming day. Yeah, Monday deceleration, and then it'll be quite clear what it's going to do after Monday. If we see a doji, some sort of test of this level, we've got quite a nice long opportunity lining up. Failing that, 61.8, and then obviously we've got this trend line beyond that. So I think the up move from there is probably going to be what the outcome is, if it even gets to that level. However, that being said, it goes against our dollar bias. If we see weakness, we could see it move up straight away, which then we can obviously long it from that fib level just here. So I think somebody wanted me to break down Brent oil. So let me just grab that up, bring that up. UK oil. Oh, I've already got some analysis on this. So had I actually had this on my chart, I would on my watch list, I probably would have shorted that because for some reason that trend line's actually quite valid because the price has retested it. So let's have a look. $61.8 rejection. Just draw a horizontal line on there, see if we've got anything else going on. So yeah, price is reacting to this level. Personally, I think we'll see similarly to gold retest of that. Sorry, more deceleration around this level, and then a move to the upside. If I was shorting from here, I probably would only target 0%. If we look at oil, it looks US oil. Sorry, it looks pretty much exactly the same. Got not quite as good a trend line, but still clearly relevant. 61.8, and then exactly the same. Price is reacting to this. So long's probably for me preferred from this level. If we see this zone break, which lines up with all of our fib levels, then obviously shorts from that point are preferred because it's broken this zone at that point. If we just look at Nike quickly, so I think somebody mentioned this to me, and they had a trend line drawn on it, and it was a bit misleading. Personally, it weren't price. This trend line that I draw on here is very, very relevant. We've got break retest here, and then we've got deceleration, break, and it's been testing this. I think if we see dollar strength, dollar weakness, sorry, this is going to drop, and we'll see the yen pairs gaining. It does look to me very bearish because we've had this nice down move, but then again we've got support at the 19,600 level. So I am not going to be doing anything with this at the minute. We'll just be waiting to see what happens at this level here. If we get a retest of it, could be quite a good position. We've got a cup and handle. Don't know how many people trade these, but see, we've got the cup there. There's quite a few different cup and handles within one chart, which is fairly rare, but it does mean that long term we've got a bullish outcome. So if I just get I forgot where where is it? There it is. If I just get this out, we can see the cup here, and the handle, which is here. So what we would be looking for from this monthly cup and handle is a break retest. Essentially would enter on that touch, but I would be waiting for a break retest of that level. But then if we go back to the daily, we see that handle that we had drawn on there is now that handle of the monthly one is now cupping itself, and we have the handle formation, and then we've had the break retest. So long term, I think that we've got a bullish outlook overall, but I do predict downward movement personally for the short term, at least to a fib level before we move back up to that level. So that would play out perfectly with that altogether. So I'm pretty much done with my analysis of those pairs. So it was quite quick, to be fair. Just to summarize, so I'm expecting dollar weakness for the coming week. I think probably 94, 93 is probably the next zone for dollar to go to. Might not get there this week, but I do think that we'll be going there at some point. Euro dollar, I think that down move with it being in the range is preferred, but then again it does go against that view of DXY of dollar being a short overall. However, we could see some euro news come out that just weakens the euro substantially, and it could have a move to the downside regardless. So Aussie dollar, like I said, waiting for this triangle to be confirmed before anything. If we see deceleration around this level, anywhere there really, in that triangle sort of area, we would be looking at shorting it essentially, longing it, sorry, essentially. But then again, if it does break retest, we could short it. So either one of those things could line up with some fib levels. NU, like we said, downside preferred, but then DXY it would be betting against the confluences on there. However, I don't think that you could long this really at this point. You like it's telling you to short it. Just looking at those past few days, there's so much deceleration. I think the market was waiting for non-farm payroll, and even on this last day, we've got a huge test of it. So I think that downside's preferred from that one. US dollar CAD. So I don't know how many people are aware, but CAD is quite correlated with oil. So this chart looks very similar to US oil, and if you see, we've got this down move on US oil. Where's CAD gone? There. It's got no correlation there whatsoever, to be fair. But often you'll see when oil gains, US dollar CAD goes short, and the reason being is that the Canadian dollar, the GDP of Canada is quite reliant upon oil, so we'll see down moves forming just because oil's gaining, and therefore CAD's gaining. So it's something to watch, because confluences on oil can also add up to your decisions on this. With CAD, I think that we'll see an up move on oil, and this will continue to move down. Personally, pound US dollar, we didn't cover this actually. I'll just do this one quickly. So we've got daily range. That's sort of a zone there. If we just go on the monthly quickly. So don't think the monthly is telling us much. Could be a 78.6 from this huge fib here. Yeah, it is. So potentially that. Don't know how weighted that fib is. If we just pop that back up again. So we actually, it's quite weighted. If we have it on just that one, we've got reactions to that. Then if we put it on the new high, we've got reactions again. So fib does hold weight. So we could be seeing a reaction to the 78.6. Personally, I think that this range is going to hold. But again, that goes against the dollar bias we've got. So I think really what we're going to have to do is wait and see what DXY does US dollar. And if we see dollar gaining, then obviously these positions will play out as a short. Yeah, I think I quickly cover this. Someone asked for this as well. FTSE. So monthly. This is only available to people, I think, that trade FXCM. I could be wrong because this is an FXCM chart, I believe. Yeah, I think it's only an FXCM pair. What we've got. So, looks very bullish, obviously, on the monthly. Weekly, could be playing out from a fib level. And the thing is, with my experience with footsie, is that when it's moving down, you think it's going to keep going, and then it just shoots back up. I think we're at a good position for it to move to the upside now. We've got this deceleration around a key level. Sort of had some choppiness there prior. Yeah, I think longs are preferred on this. Could enter a position now. Place your stops below 78.6. Quite a big stop. Target that. Right. Yeah, so to summarize, DXY to me looks like it's going short. New Zealand dollar, shorts preferred. I'm not going to turn up short in this sort of formation that we've got, even if I'm wrong. I can then long it on a break retest. So it's short New Zealand dollar to one of these fib levels, close half the position out, let the rest run. Pound yen, I am going to short this also to the fib level, close out half, and then let the rest run to that trend line. And then obviously there's, at that point, personally, don't think it'll be worth longing it. Probably just stay on the sidelines until we get closer to this area here where I'll short it. Gold, potential if we see dollar weakness for a nice long move. Whether this trend line breaks or not, I'm not sure. I think that it'll hold given the fact that it's been relevant for so long. That being said, probably just put my stop really tight when it gets there, possibly below this price structure. But gonna wait for Monday to play out. See if there's another doji there. If it's already moved up by that point, I'm not bothered. I'm not going to enter it. But UJ downside per third, personally. However, if we see a break retest, if we see a retest of this trend line, sorry, I would be shorting. I would be longing it. As then it would definitely be making higher highs. I do think 115 is probably the target, though. I've been saying that since it reacted to this 78.6 fib level. That 115 was the target. I know that D1 is 116, but I just prefer this level here. At that point, it would have made a new higher high as well, so uptrend would have been confirmed. But that's about it, guys. If anyone wants something breaking down that I've not covered, just let me know and I'll break it down quickly. Okay, right. If no one wants anything breaking down, then I'm going to finish the stream there. thank you, the few people that turned up. Probably going to make this more of a weekly thing. Oh, someone's asking for Aussie dollar, Japanese yen. I will do that quickly, Paul. I'll just break down Aussie yen for. Okay, so I don't know what that was. I don't know what I was doing there. I've not traded this in a while, to be fair, so they could have been quite a bit older then. Okay, so quickly looking at the monthly. Oh God. Don't think it's telling us much. Potentially that. Don't think that holds much weight though. Weekly, see if we get a clearer picture. Not telling us much. Daily. Okay. Starting to make a bit more sense. So right, I think that is probably correct. So same as looks very similar to pound yen. So we'd sort of see something like this going on. Maybe not that many touches personally, but something along those lines. I think that downsides, as with the rest of the yen pairs, is preferred from. They're all sort of at levels where you would see something, see moves to the downside. So I think that that is probably going to be the case next week. I think it's quite probable. Just quickly cover oil again. Quickly in terms of positions, if you were to enter this, I mean, you could monitor if we just go on the 4 hour quickly. Get rid of that because I can't see. And we put a fib level on there. So we could see a move to the downside from there. We've had the reaction from that top level. This is sort of what I like to do with positions. If they appear to have formed like an entry, I go on the 4 hour or the hourly and just look at how I can make the position better for myself. So this would be a much better sort of price per pip than if I was to do it and put the stops like above this resistance here. That being said, we could possibly. That being said, this is probably quite a good position because we've got the stops above the daily highs. That's probably fine. And yeah, so I would hold it beyond that. That fib level's pretty much just to get me like a sniper entry sort of deal going on. Yeah, I think that also looks like quite a good position. So could be shorting it. Probably not as soon as the market opens, but would wait and see how the rest of Tokyo plays out. Yeah, it is. Somebody asked for it, Paul. They messaged me on WhatsApp. I'm not losing my mind. Yeah, so down move preferred. Probably would close some of my position out at a fib level and then hold the rest of this. And if we get a break retest, add to my position. If I don't, close it out and then look for an entry because that would be lining up quite nicely with a long. So, Ivan, if you were essentially this is a valid short. Like if you wanted to short this now, there's not really anything telling you not to, other than the fact that it could retest this range again. So it could be wise to put your stops maybe above price structure there. So that would probably be quite a good stop, 61 pips. We'd be looking at quite a good safety net there to getting stopped out prematurely. I'll just quickly cover oil for you, Paul. So yeah, so we've got key level, we've got price reacting to somewhere, sorry, 4 hour there. So we've had reactions to this level in the past. Here, we've got 61.8. And essentially that's it. If we put some EMAs on there, it might give us a better picture. So we've had a reaction to the trend line and the EMA, 200 moving averages above. So EMAs aren't giving us much of a reason to long it, personally, but EMAs do get crossed, so that isn't saying not to enter. But I personally know from our past experiences with oil, we would see another retest of this 61.8, and then we'd see a move to the upside. It was the exact same here with oil. I said when I saw it on the 50 EMA, said hold wait and we'll see what happens, and it dropped down. But yeah, so longs are preferred from this key level 61.8. Whether they hold or not, I'm not too sure. It has just retested that trend line at the 50 EMA, so we'll see what happens. Let me just. There was one more thing I wanted to cover on here. So could see something like this happening. I could get sort of a channel forming, and we'd just wait for the breakout, trade the bottom or the top. But yeah, I personally won't be long in oil. I'll be sticking with possibly GJ short, NU short, and those two are going against each other, like I said. But that's not to say that Kiwi's not losing strength and the dollar is staying exactly the same. So that's about it. Just anything else? Right. I am going to finish the stream there then. Thanks to those that turned up. We'll be doing another one next Sunday, exactly the same time, 8 o'clock. But I'll be posting on. We're back next week, yeah. I'll be posting on Instagram with the basically just announcing it, and I'll have the link in my bio. So if you want to set a reminder, it'll be on YouTube every time, and I'm possibly going to be starting breaking down charts within the week. So probably on a Wednesday, I'll do like a midweek breakdown and just upload a video to YouTube, not doing anything else, not doing another live stream. But thanks a lot, guys. No problem. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Don't be entering trades on Sunday night. And I'll hopefully see you next week. See you later, guys.